Win the day. Anyone from Eugene, Oregon could tell you how these 3 words ignite a fire for the Oregon Ducks football team to win that day's matchup. Win the day first surfaced amongst the players around the time that former head coach Chip Kelly was hired as the offensive coordinator in 2007. And much like Texas A&M's motto, 12th man, or Alabama's Roll Tide, Win the Day has evolved into an Oregon football identity. It is now seen plastered on the walls encircling Autzen Stadium, on the shirts of many of Oregon's fans, and online with hashtag WTD. And Win the Day is something that Oregon continues to do quite explosively under now head coach Mark Helfrich. Since the phrase surfaced in 2007, Oregon has won the day in nearly 85% of its regular season matchups. But coming off of a 26-20 loss against Stanford last week and losing all hope of a national championship appearance, can Oregon put that in the past, forget last week, and win the day today against Utah? To get a better sense for how Oregon's fans are feeling, I met out here in their tailgates to hear from some of Oregon's most faithful.
It's tough watching your team lose, but we're back out here and ready to support the Ducks, playing the Utah Utes, and I know that they'll give them the game of their life.
I feel we have a bunch of momentum going into this game because we feel bad about last week's loss.
The loss, although hard, I think that it's going to really push them to play hard tonight.
I think emotionally the team's really going to be riding a high, mad about the last week's loss and really want to take it to Utah today.
Although we have losses every once in a while, I think people come out and support, and it's fun to be in the atmosphere and excited about it.
Every year we're up and Stanford comes out and beats us. So one year we had the opportunity, but we lost it. So I feel next year, if Marcus is healthy and comes back, we'll get the opportunity to play for the national championship.
So while the Oregon faithful still can't let go of last week's heartbreaking loss to Stanford, their team must in fact do nothing else but win the day. However, Utah, the only team to beat Stanford, stands in Oregon's way. The question is, did Stanford expose weaknesses in the Oregon scheme that Utah can take advantage of today? We heard from Utah's head coach, Kyle Whittingham, and they're going to attempt to borrow a page out of Stanford's playbook. They've been focusing on their running game to expose weaknesses in the Oregon defense, much like Stanford's Tyler Gaffney did last week. But for Utah to pull off a win today, running backs James Poole and Kelvin York have to have a big game. And now for a quick Oregon quarterback update. It was rumored that Marcus Mariota had injured his knee in the game against UCLA on October 26th, and that in part limited his running ability in the game against Stanford. However, during practice this last week, it did not seem to be a factor that limited his running. He told the media in an interview on Monday that he would not let it be an excuse. But we will be watching to see if this injury is indeed a factor that limits his rushing ability today against Utah. From Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon, I'm Blake Makenna.